Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to France. No, is it France? What is it? What is it?
So it's called Rooi Franses over there.
This is your Slice Night tour guide, Beach Llama. Follow the magic stick.
As a young child growing up, I was always fascinated with ghost stories. One of the most prominent and widely known ghost stories and legends revolve around an area called Franse Pas or Frenchman's Pass or Rooi Franses, located close to Balashi in the district of Santa Cruz. Legend has it that there was a battle in this area between the indigenous locals and the French army that ended with the locals cornered and asphyxiated in the caves around here, hence the name. As curiosity deems it necessary, we wound up with our friend and expert Harold Kelly once again to elaborate on the origins of this legend. Mind you, we've oversimplified the information for time constraints and information retention. By the way guys, we tried to film this interview on a Sunday thinking there'd be less traffic, but to no avail, so my deepest apology for the noise here and there.
There is a common story or a common understanding of why this place is called Franse Pas, but that doesn't really match the historical records or the information that we have. With that said, during the Spanish period or during, let's say, the 17th, 18th century, we had this thing going on that which goes to the name of Franse Pas or Frenchman's Pass or the Rooi Franses, that you had what we call buccaneers, that were people that kind of would go, there were groups of people that would sail on their own and they would go and raid places.
Kind of like pirates.
Yeah. In a way,
yeah.
And because they called them buccaneers because they would roast their meat in a specific way that is called bucan from Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic, if I'm not mistaken, and they gave them that name. But these people were kind of outlaws, and they would try to, or they would go to places that were least known, you know. So we have that also, we have that aspect also. So they would be coming over here also, okay. And then we have the part that there is a mention of a French person that lived on the island that went to Venezuela, and there was like a problem between the indigenous group and the Spanish, and he went to Venezuela and told the Spanish, because the indigenous, that he could talk the language, and he told them to, you know, help me, but ended up being killed because they had to, somebody killed an indigenous people in it. So we have different lines of possibilities, so it's a very interesting area.
So, the reason it's called Rooi Franses might be in relation to a Frenchman, a longtime resident of Aruba, familiar with Arawak language, that tried to arrange a daring escape from the Spanish with the help of the tribe after being caught for smuggling, which led to many indigenous casualties, who in turn settled the score with his head on the end of a spear. Or a skirmish between French buccaneers in hiding and the Spanish Creoles that live in the area. But somehow I can't shake the feeling that I'm missing something.
And then also, I forgot to say that, so in the start of the 17th century, 1604, there was a English sailor that they came here and they went to look for resources on the island, and they got into, like, let's say, a fight with the indigenous people. So they're different
Privateers, maybe?
Yeah. So there are different aspects that were put together, you know? So it's not that the story that the French came here and attacked Indians and went with them in the cave and killed them with smoke. That's not no, that's not like because the thing is, that interesting part of this, that the cave that is mentioned is probably the cave of Canachito, where we found remains of where people buried. Yeah, because I surveyed this whole area and I didn't find any burials in the cave. Or what we find is, for example, goats that died and got covered.
Yeah.
So it's bone, so people could, you know, if you can distinguish from a goat bone from a human bone, you would say, oh, I found bone, it's buried. So it's a very interesting area. So we don't have a good idea yet.
Yes.
Exactly why it's called that, but there are several possibilities related to the
Why
name.
it's called
Yeah.
Franse Pas or Frenchman, Rooi Franses, to be
Franses.
specific. Rooi Franses.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The famous legend linked with Rooi Franses of the indigenous locals being chased and cornered in the caves asphyxiated with smoke has its origins rooted in the accounts of Captain Middleton, an English privateer from the 17th century. With time, certain facts get interwoven and evolve into myths and legends that carry on only a portion of the entire story as it is passed down from generation to generation. Rooi Franses is no exception. Ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you enjoyed the tour. Don't forget to leave a comment, a like, or something. Who knows, you might get a shout out in our next episode. And don't forget to share it with your loved ones. By the way, links to our previous episodes, social media platforms, and websites are in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to G's Bahati YouTube and click that notification bell for more Sly and Snide content. As always, once a guest, always a friend. This is your Sly and Snide tour guide.